can say whatever you want. But after my last video, like I put things out here because I really thought like women would pick it up, but everything in the comments is a lot of guys. And like most of the comments are hurtful and like probably unnecessary, but whatever. It's the internet. But I don't think like you have the whole picture of who I am, what I've been through.
They're a lot of D.
I was in a 6-year relationship with somebody. They moved from Florida to Arizona with my boys and I a year and a half ago. 3 months in, he went back to Florida and he never came back. And so I dealt with all of that for a long time. And then I told myself that I was ready, like I was healed and I was ready to like let someone into my life. And because I'm new to Arizona and stuff, I was like, well, I'll get on a dating app. So I did, and I met this guy, and it was great. Like during my healing process, I knew like exactly what I was not willing to take from my past relationship and accept, and what I was looking for in a partner, and
Partner.
somebody that would be good for my boys too, because they're younger. They
Two
still have
boys.
quite a few years in the home. So this person was great and our energy matched. He reciprocated the feelings. I actually was like feeding off of his energy. And then on a random Tuesday, literally a random Tuesday, he decided I wasn't for him. And that broke my heart because I had gone through like all of this healing. And it's like, why do people heal just to be hurt again? So I feel like I'm like on the downward hill of turning 40, and like I'm a genuinely like good person, and it just hurts that like I just don't know why.
Where are
Like
the tears
I
at?
always get hurt. I always get like the short end of the stick because the
Oh, right
person
there.
that went back to Arizona or back to Florida, they're thriving, like doing well. They're dating somebody else, and me, I'm like, so I think I just need to like work on being okay being alone. It's just hurtful. And so I know from like other people's videos that there are people feeling the same way. And so I just share and I'm vulnerable. I didn't expect all the hurtful, hateful
All right,
comments.
all right. Let me take a look at these comments that she says, oh, so hurtful. And that was what we called, folks, trauma bonding as well. Look, I'm going to pull the comments over here real quick, but this is kind of what we were just talking about earlier about how y'all don't know how to be in relationships, how y'all don't know how to keep your relationships. I know she said, you know, I think it was her father or kid left or something, and then she got a new dude or whatever the case is, and it didn't sound like he had kids. Sounds like she had two boys. I am going to tell y'all right now, if you got two boys and you try and get on the dating market, it's a wrap. It's going to be difficult for you. No guy, look, we are going to, we'll let you do that. But as far as marriage, good luck. There aren't a lot of men that are just going to step into that role. A lot of liberal men that are going to step into that role and try to like save you in these situations. You definitely have to go back to some traditional values of what men are really looking for, which I know a lot of women don't want to, don't want to go back to traditionalism. But essentially, I can't even tell you how many women that I've dated that had kids, they didn't know how to cook. They said the guy before them was the one that cooked. I'm like, what? So what do you know how to do? Like I can cook some things. We got kids. Don't you know how to cook? And I know somebody will be like, well, you're the guy, you know how to cook. Look, I get that. It's not important for me to be a great cook, but it's also important. But I think for a lot of women, especially when you have the kids majority of the time, you should know how to cook. I feel like that's the case is, and y'all don't want to cook. And that guy, I bet you money, it was more of a problem probably with the kids than it was with her, or she's just not telling the whole story on it. So essentially, you can trauma bond with all the women thinking that, you know, it's not you, it's him or whatever the case is, she's still alone. I mean, she'll find a guy that you know that'll bust her down, but she probably won't get married till those kids age out, honestly.
I have a lot of questions based on what she said because she's doing that XX deflect thing. So here's my thing. I believe there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's his side, and then there's the truth, which is probably somewhere in the middle. She talked about the first guy. She gave him 6 years. That's your first problem right there.
Six,
And
oh, I didn't even pick that up. Yeah.
yeah, I tell women this all the time. If
Oof.
you're dating with the intent to be married, you need to stop playing and state that from the jump because you have to be direct with men. It's up, and then once you give him that information, it's up to him to figure out: am I wasting my? Am I going to play? I can't play with her. She's
Yeah.
serious, and I can't mess around and waste her time. That's number one. Number two, and I'm going to say this every single time I hear a woman complain. Whenever I meet a woman, and I've said this before, the very first question I ask myself is, whose protection are you under? Because
Yeah.
these guys that you bringing around your kids, who's vetting them? I'm sorry, women, but you can't vet men
Probably their
by
dog.
yourself. You need another man who actually is a man and stands on manhood and is a traditional man to
Yeah.
help you vet these men to see what they're really about. That's number two. And number three, if you want to be a wife, are you conducting yourself like one? I don't know enough about this lady to say if she is or if she isn't, but if you are posting lots of thirst traps on social media, or you out here going to the club every weekend, or you have terrible spending habits, or you have very, very young kids, you might not be in that space right now.
Yeah. Or
So
hardcore leftists.
yeah, I mean that's going to be a problem too because truth be told, most heterosexual men are at least moderate or conservative. They're
Yeah.
going to pretend like they're liberal to probably get in your draws, but most heterosexual men are either moderate or conservative. You need to understand that, and
Yeah.
you need to make peace with that.
Yeah.
So those are all the things that I'm seeing. It sounds to me like either she doesn't have proper protection, or B, she has protection and she wasn't listening to it. I would have a lot of questions to ask her if I was ever talking with her, but you said something earlier about her having two kids, meaning she's basically cooked.
Two boys.
I Two boys. I would say it just depends on how old they are. If they're very, very young, then yeah, you probably need to take a break from dating for a while because you don't. What you don't want to do is bring a bunch of men around a bunch of young boys because they're going to think it's normal. As they get older, they'll start to understand, hey, mommy's out here trying to find somebody, and it's probably more acceptable then. But even when you get out there in the dating market, say you meet a man with no kids and he knows that you have two, he's perfectly within his rights to say, no, this ain't the lifestyle that I want, and exit the date. If you meet somebody with two or more, then you got to have the mixed blended family conversations, which complicates things even further.
Yeah.
So all these things have to be considered. But honestly, what would solve this is if we all chose correctly the first time. And let's be honest, none of us have. But this is why we have to learn from other people's mistakes. And this is why we talk about the Travis Hunters and whoever else comes up on our podcast, because you got to learn from other people's mistakes and pass that game on to the next generation.
Yeah.
Her protection has failed her at some point, and I would like to explore that more if I actually talk to this lady, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. And this is the other thing. This is so I know folks, I've probably been a little harsh on this woman, but look, this should be a lesson to for the women out there. Because I mean, even for me, like most time if I do date a woman, she probably has kids. Most women tend to have kids though, but especially if they get over 30 or they've been married or whatever, they tend to have kids anyways. But for a lot of women, like if you keep your giving a guy 6 years is wild to me. Like 6 years of just hoping. Like this is the thing is that you give a guy 6 years, you kind of get what you get in that situation. And so if that was the father of a kid, I mean the kids are very young then. So when you do stuff like that, you're definitely going to be put yourself in a bad situation. You're not going to be able to have like you're wasting time essentially. So either you got to figure out like if this is the right guy for me, or you just got to move on, and that really sucks for the guys. Though I mean, this is where the accountability comes in for the men. You don't have time to be wasting on a woman that you are not going to marry or even like want to have around you. Like if a woman's not bringing value to you, then why is she around? You can say physical all you want, but that physical, she can't be physical every single day. So the day she's not physical, what value is she bringing to you? Why do you have her and her kids around you and you don't have no plans to like marry her? Like that's the question that I want to know from the men, because you can't be doing stuff like this because it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your time and your energy. Yeah, I would have so much damn money if I would have just, if what I know now versus the younger version of myself, I would have a lot of money. I've had a lot of opportunities. So you don't, and unfortunately for men, you don't figure this stuff out till you get to your late 30s and sometimes your 40s. Like you just don't figure this stuff out. But for you women, y'all ain't got time to be playing. Like when it comes to like value for you, you're getting your value early in life. You're getting your value, especially after you go to college and then you get out of college. You're getting your value because people are like, you're young, you look good, you're in the best shape of your life. But you get to your mid 30s and onto your 40s, it's hard. It's hard to find a guy that is going to take you and your boy, especially when it comes to boys, because boys are very protective of their moms. So they either turn into son husbands or they hate their mom. It's generally that path. And so what'll happen is that they'll push that man out. So either you got to figure out like what are you going to do with your sons, or you just got to wait till your kids get a little older, because 16, 17, they kind of want to do their own thing. They don't care about who you're dating. But when they're in that 13, 12 or 13, they're going to be all up in your business. So good luck, men.
Yeah, we should probably talk about how the son husband dynamic ruins dating next week, because there's a good conversation to be had there too.
Yeah.
I'm going to make note of that. But again, let me tell y'all something right now. When it comes to us dating, y'all, we basically put y'all into two categories. Either she's for play or she's for stay. And the truth of the matter is, we know pretty quick if you're wifey material or not. Kevin Samuel used to always use the 6 month rule. I would surmise that you can probably find out sooner than that if you are wise and you shut the hell up and you listen and you pay attention to how she acts instead of what she says and what she posts. You gotta, like, there's a full vetting system here, but a man who is wise and intelligent can pretty much tell very quickly
Yes.
if she's the wife or not. And that's the thing that y'all got to realize. So if you are dating with the intent to be married, you need to state that from the very beginning. Hey, I don't want to play games with you. I'm not saying you got to do it right now, but I want you to know that I'm looking for a husband. Or in her case, I'm looking for a husband and a father slash mentor to my two boys.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the baby's father ain't active. So that's something to be considered too. You're not just putting somebody in the house to give you some D and to pay all your bills. Now your young boys is watching him and looking at him as an example of manhood. This
Yeah.
is the type of stuff that women don't think about.
Yeah.
They
And
only
why
think
is
about
mommy
what
alone again?
benefits they can get from it.
Yeah.
It's not just you anymore, man. You have two sons.
Yeah. And she's going to see how you treat, not she, but your sons. They're going to see how you treat men, how men are, how you expect. That's going to define what a relationship's going to be. So if you are not, if you don't have that, happy relationship with that father, or at least you're not, fixing his plate, adoring that father, making sure that he comes first, your sons are going to have a very jilted look, or tilted, I should say, look on what relationship should look like. And
Yeah.
so, unfortunately, that's kind of the plight. And so, for her, and I looked at some of these comments. People are like, "You're young." If she's trying to find somebody, her options are very slim. Like, you better make sure you stay in the gym, and you better make sure when your boys get to a certain age, or at least have the conversation with the boys, like, "Mommy's trying to get you guys a new daddy." Like, you got to do whatever it is, because at the end of the day, it should come at. I mean, if the father, let's say the father's not active, the father's not around for whatever reason, you're gonna need two incomes. You're gonna need someone to kind of help you. Like when all these people are talking about how eggs are going up, I can't tell. Y'all still buying them, and it's expensive. Y'all are still buying them. So
Yep.
we buying them on credit, or what's going on there? So if the economy is not to your liking, or at least the money doesn't go as far as it used to, where are you going to get that money at? Because if you're not getting married and you're just with these random men, that's only going to work for a little bit. So you're going to have to like work on yourselves and you're going to have to like pretty much give men what they want. Men want somebody that's fit, feminine, friendly. That is, those F's are still always going to ring true to, no matter what generation you're in, like, or whatever the time period is. It's always going to be true.
Yeah, what you just described is called inelastic demand. That's a term that's used in economics. And what does that mean? That essentially means no matter what the cost is, you still gonna buy it. And it's the same thing with dating. Like some women get
Yeah.
so desperate that their demand for men is inelastic. There's the more risk that there is, you're still going to pay that price. You still want to give him your time.
Yep.
But for the fellas, let me tell you this too: be quiet and let this woman talk and watch how she acts. Women love to show you who they are. Sometimes you just get so infatuated
Especially if they cry.
by the hips and the breast and the butt that you ignore it. But women will always show you who they are.
Yeah.
And I always say you will never know who a woman is until you see her angry, until you see how she looks when she first wakes up in the morning, and how she reacts when the world tells her no. Those are the best ways to see what kind of woman you have. And you need to peep game and watch that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And it's another CJism is when it comes to like a woman crying on the internet, don't believe her. This is, you don't know the full story. You don't know exactly what I mean, she's telling you she's the hero in her own story. And I see that a lot where a lot of women are saying, I can't get a man or whatever the case is. This is, and shocking. This is her most highly rated video of her life. Or, I mean, not her life, but on her page. And so it's interesting that she's coming on the TikTok to try to find a daddy for somebody. And if she really was struggling, I mean, she got plenty of you simps are in the chat. Let me just show a couple. Like, I mean, of course the women are going to stay on the sisterhood code, but she's saying 40 is still young. I mean, doctors say you can't get pregnant or you have trouble getting pregnant around that age, but whatever. It's better to be alone and happy than miserable and settle with the wrong person. You're not settling with the wrong person. Like, I know some people may not, you have ups and downs in your marriages, but it's not settling. Like, you should not be settling if this is the woman that is the love of your life. And the woman should have the same thing. The problem is these women, they change their minds and they don't know why they're changing their minds. Maybe it is because of the hormones and the, what it was, the birth control or some of the head meds that are on. I really think that's kind of the case. And some of that medicine is sterilizing some of you women, which is probably why you can't even get pregnant anymore. So,
Yeah.
this guy says, I'm sorry. There are good guys out here, the men that she's wanting or wherever the case is, they're out there. All these simps are out here. They will definitely wife her up for whatever under whatever the circumstances. The problem is she don't want those guys. She don't want you soy boys. She want the guys on the right that will take care of her. And unfortunately for the men, this is the truth. You get your money up, you'll be able to do a lot of things. You'll be able to have pick whatever woman you want. If you want to save baby mamas, you'll have the ability to do that. But
We talked about that attractability matrix last week. It's the exact same thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should just have that queued up, ready to go though, because that's definitely true. Once you get your money up, you'll be able to do anything. So if your thing is to save baby mamas, you'll be able to do that. But for a lot of you men, again, if this woman has kids and maybe she is, she's submitting or not submitting, whatever the case is. If she's not doing all those things to bring value to you, then you should not be with her. You should not be with her 1%. If she's just for play, let her be for play. You don't have to tell her that she's for play. Just like, hey, I'm not doing anything serious, or I don't want to get married, and I don't want this to be a serious thing. It's up to you to decide. You don't have to be as blatant as, say, I just want to, just have sex with you. Just say like, hey, I'm not looking to do anything serious. I don't want to be a father. Or if you do want to have kids, she's in her 40s. And if this guy doesn't have kids, most men are going to want to have kids. So either you got to figure out you're going to have kids again at 40 or whatever the age is, or you need to move on to a different guy. Like, you don't have time to be playing, but they want to keep playing. They want to get their heads, they want to have the chat. People are in their comments tell them that, hey, you still have a chance out here. No, you don't. Most women out there, they're going to die alone.
And we're not trying to sell y'all dreams, man. There's a lot of other podcasts that do that, but I have an unpopular opinion. TR, you might even disagree with this. if it's properly done correctly, meaning there was proper vetting, there was proper counseling and training, you should get married as early as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that is the longer you out here in this game, the more bodies you're going to get, the more traumas are going to build up, the more you're going to distrust people, and it's too risky. I got married at 26, and a lot of people thought that that was too young. But one thing I realized once I started to step into my masculinity was how full of it most women and most people, period, are. There was no other reason for me to be out here skating around and doing the goofy stuff that I used to do when I was younger. I
Yeah.
had to chill out. So, my advice to men and women, if it's done properly, meaning that y'all were properly vetted, the parents approved, there's marriage counseling, I'll take it even this far. You should meet with a divorce attorney during premarital counseling and sit
Yeah.
there and have them tell you about how the heartbreaks and the financial stress and the mental stress that you have to go through when you get a divorce. You should have to pay an attorney his or her retainer and sit there and listen to them talk about that so you
Yep.
can really have something to think about before you make that leap. But again, oh, you brought this up earlier, TR. I'm just going to reinforce it. A woman is born with value. Her challenge is as she gets older, it decreases. So she's got to work to protect the value that she has. A,
Yes.
a man is born with no value, and his value increases as he gets older based on his outcomes, results, and so on. I know your mama told you was special, young man, but outside of that house, no, you weren't. You got to go out there and build up your empire just like every other man has
Yep.
before you.
Yep. And so when society's telling you to, go left, or this is, you gotta, adhere to some of the crazy, those type of folks, those are going to they're going to lead you down the wrong path. You can't listen to those people. You just need to focus on what's in the best interest of yourself, and then figure out what you want to do. Because soon as other people start telling you how to date, and when you should not be upset, or when you should not have standards in your own relationship, you've already lost, and that marriage is doomed. That marriage is probably going to end in divorce. So, uh, you know, take this woman. This is a learning lesson. Again, whenever a woman is crying, you can't believe them because you don't know the full story, what's really going on. And have her boyfriends come up here, and they probably have to like disguise their voice because I know the internet will come after them. But that's who you really need to talk to see if like what's going on with this person, if she
Right.
truly is a good person. And I find that usually they're not. They have a lot of issues that impair their ability to be in a long lasting relationship. And kids definitely complicate that. But you would think, as a woman, the best thing to do is to make sure your kids are taken care of and provided for. But we know that's not the case. That's not what's happening in society today. So
She said he just upped and left from Florida with no reason why. Really?
probably
We
get
supposed to
milk and
believe that?
cigarettes.
I mean, come on, lady, you hiding some stuff.
Yeah. So it is what it is. All right. Last topic.